Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, welcome in as we get ready to rumble. We get ready to rock and roll here this evening from the beautiful Kentucky Speedway with the premium Stunt Car Racing League. Welcome in, ladies and gentlemen, as we get ready to go to battle. These drivers get ready to go to work here this evening. Practice session is currently underway. It's about to come to a close here in just a few more moments, and then we'll get into a little bit of racing action here this evening. As Cryptic says, you forgot to switch the Phoenix logo with the Crier Motorsports logo. I did forget to do that. Thank you for bringing that up, brother. Let me make sure I get that fixed. I can probably change that right now. I should have told you to message me again like 2 days later, because I always forget. Let me take a look here. Let me see if I can find it. There we go. You got it. We do got it. I'm pretty sure I already saved it. Yep, I did. All right. Let me get that changed up for you right now, Dylan. I got you, BB. I got you. Don't you worry. Phoenix logo, drop. This one, add. Sure is up there and it's looking fine. There we go. All right, we got it. All right, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, here we go. We're getting ready to duke it out. We're getting ready to go to battle here in this one. Drivers getting ready to try and put themselves into position to potentially pick up this win here this evening. There's a lot of drivers, a lot of cars, a lot of people that are going to be looking to try to pick up a solid run, potentially find their way into victory lane here this evening. But for 9 drivers, we do have a little bit more on the line. For 9 of these cats, they are looking to try to pick up potentially a checkered flag and potentially put themselves into the show here for our next round of the playoffs. So the pressure is getting a little wild. 3 more drivers will be eliminated here, as this is only 2 races. So we have Kentucky, and then we have, let me double check the schedule here. I want to make sure we get this right. We have Kentucky here tonight as race number 1 here of the second round. And then right after this, we head to the next track, which is Phoenix. All right, so we got Kentucky and Phoenix here. Phoenix will be an elimination race next Saturday, so you want to make sure you try to get as many points as possible, have a great finish, maybe even get that win, lock yourself into the next round of the playoffs here this afternoon, because you do not want to miss out. You do not want to not be a part of this show. You don't want to miss out and, be sitting on the sidelines and not being able to, have some fun and continue on your championship drive here this year. So you want to be kind of perfect here this afternoon. You almost got to be perfect here on the day. Let's take a look here. We do have the standings right there, so we can kind of get a good look at them and see kind of where everyone's lined up, where everyone's sitting going into this first elimination race. So in Lucas is looking pretty solid. He does have some pretty decent bonus points as well, so those bonus points going a long way, as he will start this round with 3,024 points. He's got a 10-point gap already between himself and Applegate. Applegate's got 7 points between himself and Jordan Hand. And then we see Landon Burbage, Dylan Carrier, we see Josh Kreider right there, and then we see that cut line. That currently it's Kreider and Brian Underwood that are tied for that cutoff position. And then we see James Robbins and Noah Blackwell both below that cut line, as well as 3 of the 9 drivers here this evening will be eliminated, not tonight, but next Saturday night. So in this round, the second round of our playoffs, 3 of these drivers will be eliminated. 6 drivers will move on, and then we'll eliminate 2 more drivers. And after those 2 drivers, we'll be down to our championship 4 for our season finale in about a month's time from now. So still a lot of racing, still a lot of time to make moves and try to put yourself into a position to try to keep on advancing, but you want to get off to a good start. You got to have that consistency, and that consistency is going to be key all evening long and all season long for these drivers, as we'll get them ready to rock and roll. We'll get them out there on the racetrack here as qualifying now underway. So drivers laying down some quick times, looking to try to keep themselves rolling. As Cryptic says, I reminded you last night when I sent the thumbnail laugh loud. That was last night, brother. That was last night. I don't know. My mind's a million different places always, brother. You messaged me last night at like 3 o'clock in the morning, 2 o'clock in the morning. I don't even know what time it was. It was late, brother. I was in bed, so I wasn't doing much. I was laying in bed, my boy. As we get ready, we will take a look here and see these drivers jumping out there for their qualifying session. Right now, it is Landon Burbage. Burbage does have the quick time so far here this evening. Dylan Carrier currently sits in second, as you do see that beautiful 31 ride rolling out there on the racetrack. Ryan Haller out there in the Irish Spring number 99 machine. I love Irish Spring. That's what I use. I like the bar soap Irish Spring. I'm not a huge fan of the body wash, like the liquid soap. A huge fan of that. I like the old style, just a good brick of soap. You know, that's where we go. But we love that ride. As we do see Jordan Hand jump up into third now. So Hand with a great lap time as the 11 machine jumps up into position number 3. Aiden Lucas will now slide into position number 4. Josh Kreider back into position number 5 in that 5 ride. Blackwell there in 6. Then we see Melvin Brangrewer. Farrell Robbins back in 8th. Danny White there in 9th. Ryan Haller currently now our top 10 out there on the racetrack, as we do see the 6 machine. Brian Underwood yet to jump out there and lay down his lap time. We do see Applegate. He's sliding out there now in his beautiful Red Bull machine. Here comes Jonathan Gaston as well in that 72 ride. As each and every one of these drivers looking to try to lay down some good laps, looking for a solid start here this evening. And for right now, a lot of our championship drivers, I mean, you look at the top 7, I believe all 7 are part of our championship hunt here this evening inside that top 7 right now. And we may be adding more in once we see the number 57 of Applegate, once we see that number 6 of Brian Underwood roll out there and potentially lay down lap times. Could slide up there as well, as we do see Applegate still jumping up there, and he jumps up into 7th. So Applegate joins us up there at the front of the field. So right now our top 8 are some of our top 8 in our championship standings. The only driver that is currently not inside the top 10 that is a part of our championship hunt is that 6th rider, Brian Underwood. Underwood hasn't even got a lap in yet for this qualifying session, so looks like he may be taking a start at the back of the pack. We do see Benjamin Romano out there. Jonathan Gaston getting ready to finish his lap as he heads down across the line. We'll see where he gets slotted into here, see if he gains any extra time or if maybe he's already gotten into the fence and maybe did not get a lap in there. But nonetheless, Applegate up into 7th, but Landon Burbage, great lap time there for Burbage. Burbage currently quickest out there in this qualifying session. Dylan Carrier looking to start 2nd with Jordan Hand, Aiden Lucas, Josh Kreider, our top 5, as we'll get ready to go green flag racing here in just a few more moments. Drivers will get ready to duke it out here in this one, as we'll take a quick moment here and get our national anthem in from Landon Burbage. So ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, please stand up and remove your hats, as it is time for our national anthem, presented to you by Landon Burbage, driver of that Chevrolet Princess Towing number 2. Alrighty, give it up there for Landon Burbage with our national anthem here this evening. Now it's time to hear from Lonnie Kreider for our opening invocation here as our Grand Marshal, Lonnie Kreider, here this evening.
Hey, how's everybody doing out there? I hope you had a great Memorial Day weekend. Some more great racing coming up. Kentucky Speedway, my hometown, Kentucky. You don't like the good bluegrass stage to race on. Been many, many car wrecks on that track. So guys, be careful with that little bump that you'll see on that road, because when you get that place, it's going to throw you for a loop. So good luck tonight driving, guys. Start them engines and let's go racing.
Alrighty, shout out there, Lonnie Kreider. Lonnie coming in as our Grand Marshal here this evening, giving us the opening invocation here this afternoon on our racing action as each and every one of these drivers get ready to roll out onto the speedway. They get ready to rumble here this afternoon is Landon Burbage. First driver to start rolling out there, our pole sitter here this evening. Dylan Carrier in position number 2. He's ready to go to battle there in that beautiful number 31 machine, and that Carrier Motorsports ride is 167 laps on the docket here this evening, as we do see Jordan Hand, our third place starter here this evening. Jordan will start there in position number 3. Aiden Lucas will start to his outside there in 4th. Josh Kreider in the beautiful Energizer and Rubbered Up Productions number 5. Ryan will round out our top 5 here to start this race. To his outside will be the number, I believe it is the 9 ride here this evening. That is the number 9 of Benjamin Romano. Then we see, looks like the 18, and Noah Blackwell is going to fill that hole. So Blackwell will start in 6th. Then we see Grant Applegate there in 7th. Benjamin Romano now into 8th with the 76 of Farrell Robbins. Melvin Brangbrewer, our top 10. Ryan Haller in the number 79 of Danny White back there in 11th and 12th. Then we see Brian Underwood back in 13th. Jonathan Gaston, Jordan Kreider, Nathan Brokover, and James Ifa rounding out our field. 17 drivers ready to go to battle here at Kentucky Speedway here this evening as our second round of the Premium Stock Car Racing Elite Playoffs will get underway as we end all the anticipation with our feature presentation. As we are quickly green flag racing here at Kentucky is Landon Burbage with a good jump there on our opening green flag here this evening as he quickly jumps on the lap pedal, leads us down through quarter 1 and out of 2 will take us down the back straightaway. Dylan Carrier trying to use that outside momentum to his advantage, trying to slide down in front of that 11 rider. Jordan Hand just going to clear him, and he will slide there in 2nd, but down through 3 and out of 4. It's Landon Burbage who will lead lap number 1 here this evening as he's on the hunt to try to be that reflection of perfection here this evening. Quickest in qualifying, leading our opening laps, and he's trying to lead all of them here this afternoon. But man, that 31 of Dylan Carrier quickly closed that gap that the 2 ride had created in that opening lap, and the 31 of Carrier quickly right to his back bumper. Jordan Hand back there in 3rd. Josh Kreider up and into 4th with Noah Blackwell there in that beautiful Interstate Batteries NJPDesigns.com. Number 18 right up and into the 5th position as Aiden Lucas slides back a couple spots early in this race. The Tracker Boats Bass Pro Shops machine there in 6th, but he's trying to open up the door, trying to work himself back inside the top 5 as he looks down low underneath Noah Blackwell. Oh, look out! Around goes Lucas. Lucas around in the 57 of Applegate gets collected. A pair of our playoff drivers tore up here early on in Kentucky, and our first caution flag of the day is going to fly. Lap number 3 is all it took. 3 laps of racing action before we see this 20 ride down low just get some contact there as he gets into the back end of Noah Blackwell. He has a good run. He's down to the inside. Let's see if we can get another angle, another look at this as he gets this good run. He's got the inside lane. Not sure if Blackwell kind of comes down in front of him or if Aiden is just aiming more for the middle. Unfortunately, as Blackwell comes down, 20 just gets into the back end of him right here and unfortunately makes some pretty solid contact. Heavy back end damage to the 18 ride, heavy front end damage right out of the gate there for that 20 machine. And you see both cars get sideways there. And unfortunately for the 20 machine right here, his teammate Applegate nowhere to go, slams into the side of them. They both wash up the track here. Hard contact for Aiden up into the fence, and then the 57 unfortunately drives in there, makes even more contact there with them. More damage for both drivers as they slam together not once but twice out there on the racetrack, and unfortunately already having to potentially use a lot of time down pit road or potentially trying to get these cars repaired with the quick repair out there, and definitely not a spot you want to be in here early on in this race, especially if you're one of the playoff drivers here this evening. Let's see if we can jump on board and watch from inside the cockpit here the helmet cam of this 57 ride of Grant Applegate. Is Applegate following right in behind his teammate there in that 20 machine? Then he sees the contact. All of a sudden, there's nowhere for him to go. Slams into the side of him, slams back into him there. Heavy damage for both drivers, and man, that is a tough break early on here, but luckily enough, it is early in the race, so if you didn't have to use the quick repair, if you wanted to just try to keep getting those repairs done and working on the car and not having to worry about using that quick repair up yet today, then you can try to, get rolling out there. We could still see a bunch of more cautions. We could still see a bunch of opportunities for you to potentially get laps back or anything else, so using the quick repair early on or too early may hurt you. You may want to leave that in your back pocket for late in this race, for late in the race, but unfortunately looks like the 20 ride already using that quick repair up. We do see Applegate still down pit side, still trying to get his car repaired. Applegate looking like he's trying to save that quick repair for a little later in this race, as you didn't want to have that early contact, that early caution flag, and being tore up and already being kind of put behind the 8-ball here, as you do see Applegate trying to roll back out onto the racetrack. He's trying to beat our race leaders here, and looks like he will beat them back out there, so a good break for him on that note, as Applegate just trying to stay on the lead lap, trying to keep himself in contention here this evening and not wanting to, use up that quick repair too early. Doesn't look like too much damage actually on that 57 ride, but the cosmetics may be fine. The underlying, damages underneath the hood could potentially be a little bit more catastrophic. We'll have to keep an eye and see, what his game plan is going to be and how it's going to have to work out for him, as we do see the Team No Lock, number 3 machine, Jordan Kreider. Jordan heads down pit side. He's looking to get some extra work done to his car, as well as he'll roll back out onto the track, and we'll get ready to go back to Green Flag Racing. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, if you guys are just tuning in, you haven't already, make sure you guys do us a favor. Right now, hit that like button on the stream for us. Hit that thumbs up button. Make sure you hit that follow or subscribe button. Hit that subscribe button. Become part of the Peacemaker family here today, and turn those bell notifications on. That way you never miss it when we go live here on Peacemaker Gaming. Make sure you jump up into the chat just like Brian Carrier did, cheering on that 31 ride of Dylan Carrier here this evening. Let us know who you're cheering for and who you want to see pick up the checkered flag here this evening, as the 2 of Landon Burbage getting ready to see that green flag fly once again here this evening in Kentucky, as our first official restart there underway, as the 2 Ryan sees that green flag fly quickly back onto lap pedal. Not the best restart on the outside lane, unfortunately, for Dylan Carrier. Looks like he may quickly slide back a couple spots here on the racetrack. He'll try to battle back using that outside lane, trying to find that extra little bit of speed, that extra little bit of run that he can find out there on the outside of that 5 right of Josh Kreider. Kreider, though, trying to steal that 3rd position away from the Jordan Hand. Already moved up into 2nd, but Hand down low. Doesn't look like he's got the run that he was looking for down through 3 and 4 in this 31 machine of Dylan Carrier. Looking like he's got a very, very strong car here tonight, man. Looks like this thing is pretty fast up there in that middle lane. Unfortunately, looks like he will slide back down low and jump in behind this 11 machine, see if he can find another run and get maybe to his outside once again. Finds a ton of speed down there through corner 3 and 4. 1 and 2, not too good for that 31 run, but does look like he will fall back another spot here, as now we do see that 5 ride working himself back around this number 31, and Carrier continues to slide back to 4th, and now potentially going to lose 4th position here to the 9 ride of Benjamin Romano. Is Romano right there as well, ready to make some moves? And sure, Haller says, let's go Ryan Haller. Cheered on Ryan out there on the racetrack, as you do take a look back. You do see Ryan Haller back there, that beautiful Irish Spring 99 ride, rolling there in that 13th position. Always looking fresh and always feeling fresh, especially with that Irish Spring in hand for the 99. Ryan Haller out there on the speedways. He rolls back in the 13th position. He's got Applegate right there behind him as Aiden Lucas just in front of him. Same with Noah Blackwell as both these drivers trying to recover from that contact just moments ago and the damage that they created and got out there on the racetrack, and now trying to race their way back up inside the top 5 here this evening. Landon Burbage out in front. He continues to be that reflection of perfection here this evening as Burbage leads another lap here at Kentucky Speedway. 10 laps already into the history books here tonight. So 10 laps down and still 157 laps of racing action left to go. Still a long time, a lot of laps, and a lot of time for drivers to try to navigate their way to the front of the field. Whether it's pitch strategy or whether it's just trying to hit your marks if they're on the racetrack and just having a good solid run. And as we talked about for all of our playoff drivers, it's that consistency, the good runs, the strong finishes in the stages, and a strong run towards the end of this race to put yourself into a pretty solid point standing when it comes to the checkered flag. You want to be making sure that you got some extra points there in your back pocket, where when we head to our elimination race here in round number 2 next Saturday, and you can have that little bit of comfort, that little bit of wiggle room, where if you run into problems, if you run into mistakes, you can hopefully still have enough points banked up that you don't have to worry about being eliminated from this second round of the playoffs. As unfortunately, our playoffs are already down to 9 drivers left in these playoffs. And after this race and next Saturday's race, the 2-race second round, 3 more drivers will be eliminated. So 3 drivers will be yeeted and deleted from the playoffs, and you do not want to be one of them out there on the racetrack. You want to make sure that you are a part of the show and making sure that you keep your dreams alive to be part of that championship 4 and battle and contend for that championship here in a few short weeks away. And right now, Landon Burbage doing everything he can as he's looking very, very strong here in Kentucky. And right now, no one's been able to show anything better or anything faster than this 2 ride as he continues to lead this race, continues to hold all these drivers back there at bay. As I do believe we're going to have stage breaks at lap number 25. So the completion of lap 25 is not going to be a stage break, but we will give out stage points there on lap 25. We don't have any stage 1 caution flags. Stage number 2 will be completed at lap number 50 here this evening. Was this not supposed to be a 100-lap race? Schedule definitely shows 100, but it's 167. Nonetheless, I don't know if that's changed our stages or not, but I do see on the schedule that it says 100 laps and 25 and 50 for the stages. We'll have to maybe see if we can double check that and see if they changed that off the schedule in race info. There we go. Okay, so they did change it. So it is lap 40 is the completion. Completion of lap 40 will be the end of stage 1, and lap 80 will be the completion. Completion of lap 80 will be the end of stage number 2. So we're looking for lap 40 and lap 80 for stage points here this evening, as they definitely changed that one up. The schedule definitely read that one wrong, and I'm glad we definitely figured that out, as that's going to be very vital information, especially this late in the season with points and everything else. Everything is so narrow, and any mistake out there on the racetrack, one slip up, one wrong move, one bad run out there on the racetrack could be make or break for any of our 9 playoff drivers here, as we already saw a couple run into problems. Now, for the 2 drivers that did really run into problems there in that first caution flag, they are sitting pretty. They're sitting fairly confident out there on the racetrack, as they don't have to worry too much about the points. They're definitely still going to want to worry about them a little bit. Let's see if we can get the standings put back up here and let you guys take another look at those, as I put off too much of the screen here. Let me see if I can make this a little bit smaller but readable for you. All right, let's take a look right there. This will give you a good look there. Hopefully you guys can read that. Hopefully it's not too small. And some of our drivers that are still a part of our playoffs here this evening. You do see Aiden Lucas and Grant Applegate. They are at the top of the standings right now. Unfortunately for both of those drivers, for Aiden and Grant, they were both tied up and got some pretty serious damage out of that first caution flag through this evening on lap number 3. Luckily enough for them, this is a long race. They still got a lot of laps left to try to rebound and still get some good points and good finishes. But early on, having those issues, you want to try to minimize all that effect and minimize having these problems out there. And especially if you have to use that quick repair up and all of a sudden you're behind the 8 ball, especially if you have another incident like that out there on the racetrack, you could all of a sudden have your night end early in a quick hurry. But they do have a bit of points that they can kind of bank on. Not too much, but a little bit there for both Aiden Lucas and Grant Applegate. But you do not want to go into our second race of round number 2, that elimination race below that cut line. And right now you see Brian Underwood, that's Farrell Robbins in 8th, and Noah Blackwell back in 9th. They are all officially right now underneath that cut line. And unfortunately for those drivers, they would be eliminated if this round of the playoffs were to end right now. For Landon Burbage, he's feeling pretty out there on the racetrack. He's feeling pretty good, knowing that he's out in front and continuing to lead this race and hoping to try to pick up stage win number 1. Not only earn the extra bonus point that carries on into the next round for him, but also trying to make sure he earns those 10 points, knowing that they could be make or break between, advancing into the 3rd round of the playoffs or being out of the playoffs here again this year. So for that too, Ryan just trying to keep this car pointing in the right direction as Lacey says, let's go Brookover, cheering on Brookover in that number 8 machine as Brookover out there on the racetrack having a solid run as always. We always see this 8 ride, the Budweiser Premium Stock Car Racing League Camaro, just rolling pretty out there on the racetrack, and that chrome green always looking so fresh out there as that Gaston's iRacing Graphics number 8 machine, always beautiful, always looking fresh out there on the speedway. And for right now, Brookover just rolling back a little deeper in the field. He's currently scored back in the 16th position. Right in front of him, you do see that 57 run of Grant Applegate. As Applegate back in that 50 spot, still has a little bit of damage there from that first caution flag. Did not use the quick repair, just trying to see if he can maybe roll out there and be able to catch a couple more caution flags and a couple more opportunities to get their cars fixed up. And you do see James Efa out there as well, as Efa in that 88 ride here this evening in the beautiful 88 machine, that ghost ride here this evening as the Efa ride rolls there in the 14th spot. Ryan Haller right there in front of him. Jonathan Gaston and Danny White back in 11th. As out in front, it's still Landon Burbage. Burbage continuing to lead the way here in this one. Landon out in front with Jordan Hand there in 2nd, trying to reel him in. Dylan Carrier there in 3rd with Josh Kreider back in 4th. And then we see Aiden Lucas rounding out our top 5. Good rebound so far for Aiden Lucas as he rolls there in that 5th position, trying to make sure he earns some extra bonus points here, some extra stage points here on stage number 1, but he does have a couple more playoff drivers right behind him. That is Brian Underwood. Underwood rolls there in 6th. Noah Blackwell there in 7th, trying to make the pass around that Bang Energy number 6 machine. Melvin Brangruer right there as well. Brangruer having a solid run this afternoon in the 89 ride with the 9 of Benjamin Romano back in the 9th position in that Napa Auto Parts line out there on the speedway. And Farrell Robbins rounding out our top 10 here on the racetrack. Farrell right now in the 10th position, looking to just try to at least get a stage point here in stage number 1 as our laps continue to click down a wee inch closer and closer here to the end of stage number 1. 26 laps now completed, so we got about 14 laps left here until stage number 1 comes to a close. Now, we won't see a caution flag for the end of stage number 1. We will see it stay clean and green out there on the racetrack. So for these drivers, just trying to, hit their marks, try to keep the tires underneath of you, try to not burn yourself up too much, and maybe save a little bit of that fuel as well, as fuel could become an issue. But I do believe they should be able to make it probably 40 laps or so, maybe a little bit more than 40 laps on a tank of fuel. But we'll have to wait and see how it kind of plays out. Where these pit strategies will kind of take these drivers, where these pit strategies will kind of take these drivers, as, you know, we're going to see probably a long green flag run in our final stage. And even in this stage, if we don't see any more caution flags, this could be virtually about a 75-lap run, where when we see stage number 2 come to a close and we see that caution flag come back out on lap number 80, you know, we're going to see probably everyone come down pit road. It's going to balance out that pit cycle and everything else, but for a lot of these other drivers, it could be make or break after that. You have one bad call, you stay out too long, or you come down too early, or you make a mistake coming down pit side for a green flag pit stop late in this race. You get a penalty, you get held down pit road, or you have to make a pass-through penalty. All of a sudden, your hopes for a good finish or a good drive for maybe a car to pick up a checkered flag, your dreams could go out the window with that one simple mistake. So you got to be virtually perfect out there on the racetrack every single lap in every scenario out there on the speedway, whether it's pit strategy, just making it down pit road for green flag pit stops, or just running on the racetrack in general. You're going to have everything work for you out there on the speedway if you want to try to find yourself up in victory lane here with the Premium Stock Car Racing League, as out in front, Landon Burbage continues to lead the way. Burbage out in front. It's about a second between himself and Jordan Hand. His Hand rolls there in position number 2, down across the line. They click off lap number 30. So 10 laps left to go here in stage number 1. Now, we won't see a caution flag at the end of this stage, but we will see stage points be handed out. So, for a lot of these drivers, earning those extra stage points, putting those into your back pocket, trying to help yourself advance into round number 3. After next week's race is definitely what's on the back of the mind of pretty much everybody, is right now our top 6 all playoff competitors here this evening. Melvin Brangrewer, unfortunately not a part of the playoffs, and then we see Brian Underwood back in 8th. Underwood is one of those drivers that was below that cut line at the back of our point standings there after our last race, our 3rd race of round number 1 in our first elimination race. Underwood was able to make it in with ease, but now back below that cutoff line, just looking to have a good solid run here this evening. Farrell Robbins, unfortunately, was below that cut line, as well as he's back in position number 10. And then we did see Blackwell up there. Blackwell's running pretty solid right now, as and all these drivers do a great job. Unfortunately for Applegate, he did get collected in that first caution flag. Looks like he's trying to get that car repaired. He's had a couple trips down pit side during that first caution flag after he got tore up there with Aiden Lucas. And now the car looks pretty solid. It looks pretty clean, and potentially just trying to run a little bit of a strategy call here after having that issue and being put in the back of the pack in for the 57 ride. Excuse me, right now he is currently outside of the top 10 and is not in position to earn any extra stage points here this evening as of right now. So unless if he's got something underneath his tires or something under that hood that can drive him forward and maybe pick up a few extra spots and find his way around Farrell Robbins, who's not really necessarily too far in front of him, but still about a second and a half or so in between Farrell Robbins and Applegate. So for that 57 ride, if he wants to try to earn at least a stage point, he's got to get up on top of the horse here and try to hunt those guys down in a quick hurry. But for right now, he's back in that 13th position and could be one of the only playoff drivers here this evening to not get any stage points, and that's definitely not a spot you want to be in, as out in front, Landon Burbage just continuing to lead the way. Still kind of holding at 9/10 of a second, 1 second gap between himself and Jordan Hand, with only 5 laps left to go here in this stage. He is definitely feeling pretty good about his odds here this evening, and so far he has been that reflection of perfection. He's led every single lap so far here this evening, and he also won that pole position. So quickest in qualifying so far, quickest out there on the racetrack, and for this number 2 ride, for this number 2 ride. He's looking to try to cap it off by leading all these laps and potentially putting himself up and into victory lane. And now for one of these playoff drivers like Landon Burbage, Jordan Hand, or Dylan Carrier, a playoff win means that they automatically get locked in to that next round. So to be able to pick up a win here, making next week's race, which is an elimination race, a little bit more of an easy breezy day at the Speedway. Definitely want to pick up these wins and try to keep them in your back pocket and try to keep having these good runs to advance yourself into the next round and the next round and the next round. And for right now, Landon Burbage is exactly what he's trying to do. He's just trying to run a perfect race, win all these stages, trying to get as many stage points as possible, and potentially try to win this race and earn his ticket into round number 3 of the Premium Stock Car Racing League. Jordan Hand trying to track him down, though, after on the racetrack, not trying to let him run away with it, is Dylan Carrier there in 3rd. Aiden Lucas up and into 4th, and then we see Josh Kreider there in 5th as Brian Carrier says, "You're yawning a lot more than normal, laugh out loud." I don't know. Whenever you start, you just cannot stop, brother. I don't know what it is. I also haven't had an energy drink today, so that could be it as well. I haven't had an energy drink. No monsters in the fridge here this afternoon, and I never end up running to go grab one, so that could be my problem too. Not a lot of caffeine in my system, and that's a bad day. That's a bad day for your boy. No caffeine as Noah Blackwell in position number 6 with Melvin Branker back there in 7th. Brian Underwood there in 8th with Benjamin Romano and Farrell Robbins rounding out our top 10 on the racetrack. As Landon Burbage there in position number 1, though, down across the line. This will be the last lap of stage number 1, and for this number 2 ride, he's got about a 1.5 second gap between himself and Landon Burbage. So a pretty big gap here between our first and second place drivers as Landon heads down into corner number 3. Nice and easy down and out of corner number 4. And Landon Burbage will win stage number 1 here this evening. So Burbage picks up that first stage win here this afternoon with Jordan Hand there in 2nd. Dylan Carrier in position number 3 with Aiden Lucas, Josh Kreider, our top 5. Noah Blackwell back in 6th. All earning stage points there, all 6 of our top 6, a part of our Premium Stock Car Racing League playoffs. Melvin Branger there in 7th. Brian Underwood, another playoff competitor, back there in 8th. Benjamin Romano and Farrell Robbins, another playoff driver there in 10th. The only playoff competitor to not earn an extra point there in stage number 1 was that 57 of Grant Applegate. Here you go, Applegate, Underwood, both head down pit road. So basically splitting it, going right to the end of that stage, and now making their way into pit road here. So the Bang Energy NJB Designs number 6 rider, Brian Underwood, one of the first drivers to come down pit road. Applegate right there with him. Now Applegate does still have that damage there on the right rear of the 57, potentially a little bit more damage in that car as well after getting tied up in that first caution flag of the day, and so far our only caution flag of the day. And we'll have to wait and see if that early pit stop will help them out or hurt them out there on the racetrack. As we do see Farrell Robbins now head down pit road. Here comes Danny White, Jonathan Gaston, Ryan Haller also coming down pit road in the Irish Spring 99 ride as that fueled up motorsports machine heads down pit road. But out in front, it's still Landon Burbage. Burbage continuing to lead the way here, just continuing to hold that about 1.4 second gap between himself and Jordan Hand as Hand rolls in 2nd. Dylan Carrier, he's about 1.15 seconds back of Jordan Hand there, and about 2.5 seconds back of our race leader with Aiden Lucas, but the same gap there, just a little over a second between Dylan and Aiden, and then about 6/10 back, we do see Josh Kreider right there as well as we start to see drivers roll back in onto the racetrack. Now, tire fall off is pretty massive here, and I don't know how long some of these drivers can kind of hang out there with those old tires and not really give up too much time where it's going to hurt them out there on the speedway. And Josh Kreider heads down pit road now. So our 5th place driver heads down pit sign. Benjamin Romano, James Ifa also coming down pit sign here as well. So three more competitors down pit road. But right now, here we go. Here comes our race leader, making that hard left-hand turn down pit side. It's the Princess towing number 2. You do see Jordan Hand coming in there a little bit quicker. Maybe trying to take it a little bit more risky, maybe trying to build that extra little speed and close that gap here on our race leader. Down on pit road is Landon Burbage, looking to try to hit pit side, and unfortunately now, the first lap here this evening that he has not led, and Dylan Carrier will now lead the way. So Carrier now out in front, but as these drivers roll here at the front of the field, last time around they were running in that 33-second bracket. Drivers with those fresh tires, they are running 31 ones out there on the speedway, so virtually running about 2 seconds faster than the drivers on the old tires. And now here you go. You do see Dylan Carrier, Melvin Branger both head down pit side. Aiden Lucas, he's going to stay out for at least another lap or so, but you're giving up 2 seconds a lap to those fresh tires. Definitely not the spot you want to be. That can definitely put you deep in the field later in this run, but you could have the little bit better tires where maybe it'll help you, maybe it'll give you that edge or that advantage where in the closing laps you can try to race your way up into the stage win here this evening. As Aiden Lucas is going to stay up for another lap. Noah Blackwell going to hang right there with, and then we see Nathan Brookover and Jordan Kreiner still rolling out there in position number 4. But now for Aiden Lucas, Noah Blackwell, Nathan Brookover, and Jordan Kreiner, they all came down pit road in that first caution flag of the day. So they were down pit side already. They did get fuel, potentially tires, but I don't think they would have burnt a set up early already in this race. So I'm sure they probably have that same amount of tires back behind pit wall, but having that extra little bit of fuel means that they can make it a few extra laps out there on the racetrack and try to have the better tires later in this run, as the 18 ride of Noah Blackwell does head down pit side. As we do take a look at where drivers are kind of rolling right now out on the racetrack, and it looks like as things cycle back around and everything else, it's still Landon Burbage with the race lead. So Landon Burbage, if things cycle back through, Aiden Lucas, everyone else ends up coming down pit road. Everything should cycle back to this number 2 of Landon Burbage being our race leader here this evening. Jordan Hand back there in what could be position number 2 with Brian Underwood, Josh Grinder there in 4th and 5th. Grant Applegate back in 5th. As here we go, we do see Aiden Lucas now heading down pit road. Here comes Nathan Brookover. Jordan Kreiner still rolling out there, though. Looks like he is going to take over this race lead in for the number 3 ride. Doesn't look like he was able to lead that lap, but might be able to lead the next one down across the start finish line. But right now, Jordan Kreiner is now scored as our race leader. As Lucas down pit side, same with Nathan Brookover. So a couple different drivers on some different pit strategies here this evening. And for right now, Landon Burbage, he's going to have to wait patiently, try to get himself back to that race lead, and he may have his hands full as that 11 ride of Jordan Hand not too far off his back bumper. As that number 11 machine rolls in position number 2, it's only about 0.3 of a second separating right now our second and third place drivers, as Jordan Kreiner continues to roll out there on the racetrack. But as you keep on rolling out there, man, you're still losing a lot of time to our race leaders with those fresh tires. So that's the big make or break portion of making these longer pit stops for all these drivers, trying to stay out there a little longer and try to get those fresher tires later in the run. Unfortunately, you give up so much time out there on the racetrack that you may not be able to get that time back out there on the speedways. Jordan Kreiner does head down pit side. So Kreiner down pit road, there goes Landon Burbage. Burbage will jump back out in front. So Burbage, once again, our race leader. Jordan Hand right there with him on his back bumper. 4 seconds back, we do see our third place driver, that 5 ride of Josh Grinder. Brian Underwood right there behind him a little bit farther back. And you see Dylan Carrier rounding out our top 5 now on the speedway. Grant Applegate there in 6th with Aiden Lucas, Benjamin Romano, Noah Blackwell, Melvin Brangrewer, our top 10 out there on the racetrack after 52 laps of racing action. And this battle here at the front of the field continues to rage on. These guys continue to keep on battling out there on the speedways. We're going to be right back, Chad. I just got to quickly sneeze here. Give me 2 seconds. Alrighty, we are back. Sorry about that, chat. Had to sneeze there real quick. That was wild. As here we go. The 2 ride. Landon Burbage continuing to lead this race. Now he did not lead about 3 or 4 laps there, maybe 5 laps during that pit cycle, and unfortunately, the reflection of perfection is still for grabs for him. No one has technically passed him here under green flag conditions, but right now, Jordan Hand is looking really good. I don't know if he made some changes to that 11 ride or just that good pit stop and now having a bit of draft off the back bumper of this 2 ride, but that 11 machine of Jordan Hand is sticking right there with him. Not letting him really run away with it, not open up that second or so lead again, and he is putting that pressure on the back bumper here of Landon Burbage this afternoon. And Landon just still having a great race, and if these guys can stay at the front here and continue to lead these laps and continue to try to keep these guys back there at bay, potentially could put them into a good position here after this race, as you do see a big run right here from Hand. Hand down low, looking to take the race lead away. There he goes. Down to the inside, Jordan Hand takes that race lead away from Landon Burbage. Burbage slides back into position number 2 in that 2 ride, but he's looking to battle back strong as he's up over the back bumper of that 11 ride. That's the first time here today during the green flag racing conditions that someone has made a move and passed that 2 machine here this evening. So it looks like it's going to be an absolute dogfight here at the front of the field between Jordan Hand and Landon Burbage, and about 5 seconds back behind them, we do see that 31 of Dylan Carrier. Carrier now back up and into 3rd as Josh Kreiner there in 4th. Brian Underwood back in 5th. Aiden Lucas there in 6th. And then we see Noah Blackwell in 7th. Grant Applegate in 8th. Melvin Brenger, Benjamin Romano rounding out our top 10 here this evening. Farrell Robbins, one of our playoff competitors, back in 11th, just on the outside of the top 10 looking in. And we see Danny White, Jonathan Gaston, Ryan Haller in the 99 ride, James Efa back in 15th, Nathan Brookover and Jordan Kreiner rounding out our top 17. Unfortunately, it looks like Jordan Kreiner is the first driver a lap down out there on the racetrack. Is definitely not the spot that he wants to be in. But right now, he is currently in that free pass position. If our race leaders don't put anyone else a lap down before the next caution flag or our staged break at the completion of lap number 80, potentially get that wave around the lucky dog and get back on the lead lap here this evening himself. But you do see Jordan Hand continue to lead this race with that 2 ride. Landon Burbage right there on his back bumper. Hasn't really let him go or hasn't really fallen back. He's been sticking right there, continuing to try to find another run, try to find a lane to try to steal this race lead back away from that 11 machine. And Jordan Hand and Landon Burbage putting on a heck of a show here at the front of the field as these two put on a hell of a battle for us here. Duking it out here in Kentucky as stage number 2 slowly but surely coming to a close is down across the line. Lap number 60 will be clicked off the board, and we are halfway through our second stage of the day. So stage number 1 went to that 2 ride of Landon Burbage. Burbage looking to try to win stage number 2 as well. Now that's not only 2 bonus points that the 2 car will have in his back pocket for the next round of the playoffs, but it's also, if he can pick up that second stage win, could also be 20 points towards that championship standings, and that could be make or break. That's a big chunk of change. That's a lot of points out there. And with some of our drivers inside the playoffs not having really strong runs, that could be the momentum that the 2 ride of Landon needed here to potentially try to advance himself or feel a little bit more confident, a little bit more comfortable when we go to our next elimination race next Saturday at Phoenix. So, for the 2 machine, for Jordan Hand, Dylan Carrier, having some great runs. For Aiden Lucas, he did get some stage points there in stage number 1, and is running solid right now in 4th. But for this 20 machine, unfortunately, he has already used up that quick repair. Kind of tied up in that first caution flag, so if we see a couple late race caution flags and something happens again to this 20 ride, his night may come down to an early end, or he may be rolling out there with some pretty solid damage on his race car. And with not very many drivers a lap down out there on the racetrack, it's going to be very, very tough for him to do so here tonight as the number 3 Jordan Kreider, the first car, 1 lap down, and currently the only driver 1 lap down. It's still a pretty good gap between this 8 machine and our race leader, Landon Burbage. As Burbage just down across the line, we saw that 8 right of Brookover and Ryan Haller. They were headed down through corner number 1 and 2 there. So about a straightaway or so difference between our race leaders and these guys, and there is only about, what is that, 14 laps left to go here, something like that. 14 laps, or 16 laps here left to go in this stage when they go down across the line. So could get tight, could get very interesting if our race leaders continue on this pace. If they hunt down some of that let traffic, potentially could put Jordan Kreider and Brookover, Ryan Haller, James Efa kind of all into a very, very difficult position out there if they do end up going a lap down or maybe even multiple laps down for that number 3 rider, Jordan Kreider. He's trying to hang on to that Team No Luck number 3 machine here this evening. As Landon Burbage continuing to lead the way here in this one. Landon back out in front, and once again looking to try to open up that little bit of a lead between himself and Jordan Hand. Definitely did not want to see Hand kind of hang right there with them and stick with them here on the racetrack, as that 11 ride goes in position number 2. Now they do have about a 4-second gap all the way back to our 3rd place driver, which is now Aiden Lucas. Aiden, a little bit fresher tires there, stayed on the racetrack a little bit longer than a few of these other drivers up towards the front of the field, and right now he does have, I need to say, the best tires on the racetrack. So some of the best tires on the racetrack. Came down pit road on lap number 49, where a lot of these other drivers around him, like Landon Burbage, Jordan Hand, Dylan Carrier, they came down pit road on lap 45, 46. So even that 3-4 lap of tire difference could be massive here late in this race. And you do see Noah Blackwell. He's right there. He's up into position number 5 after working himself around Josh Kreider, and he's got a couple laps better than a lot of these guys as well. So there's a few drivers that are on some different pit strategies, kind of running a little bit longer and then coming down pit road and getting the tires and then just racing your way back up to the front of the pack. We'll have to wait and see how it works out for the 18. And how it works out for that 20 ride of Aiden Lucas, as Aiden rolls there in that 3rd spot on the racetrack, nice and easy down the back straightaway. He's still trying to close that gap between himself and Landon Burbage, as Burbage still about 3.8 seconds in front of him, and down across the line they will complete lap number 68. And that will put us only 12 laps away, Jet. 12 laps away from seeing stage number 2 already come to a close here in this race. So things are moving quickly here. Drivers doing a fantastic job, and we may see a lot of different pit strategy here in the second half of this race. That's where it's really going to become make or break for a lot of these competitors, is that final stage. Know that there's no stage breaks. Know that there could be a potential of no caution flags, where all of a sudden, you know, one wrong move, one short pit, one long pit too long could take you out of the race and leave you short-handed and not have enough time to try to get yourself back into the battle. So you want to try to be picture perfect out there on the speedway. And for Burbage right now, he has been that reflection of perfection so far in this race. Jordan Hand has had a very solid run, but running back in second for a lot of it. Did lead some laps there not too long ago. We'll have to wait and see if this 11 ride can roll back to the rear bumper of that 2 ride, put the pressure back on to Landon Burbage, and see if he can try to steal the stage win away from that 11 or from that 2 machine here this evening. As Ian Luke is trying to track them both down. He's got a whole lot of steam. He's got about 4 lap better tires than our race leaders, and he is closing the gap pretty solidly, and it'll be interesting to see if he can catch them. And catching them is one thing, trying to make the move around him and try to steal a spot out there on the racetrack where points are so important. It'd be very, very tough for a lot of these drivers. Dylan Carrier back into 4th with Noah Blackwell there in 5th. Blackwell also came down pit road a little later than everybody else. Came down pit road on lap 48. Here he is driving his way back up inside the top 5 and looking to try to go after Dylan Carrier for position number 4 out there on the racetrack. Josh Kreider there in 6th with Brian Underwood back in 7th. Melvin Brenger looking down to his inside with Applegate there in 9th. And then we see Benjamin Romano back there in position number 10. Danny White, Farrell Robbins, Jonathan Gaston, James Efa, Ryan Haller, Nathan Brookover, and Josh Kreider rounding out our 17 car field here this evening as stage number 2 quickly coming to a close here this evening as that 2 ride Landon Burbage out in front, showing these drivers how to get it done here in this one with Jordan Hand right there in tow. And these guys get it done here in this one. Let's see if we can jump on board and kind of take a look at the lap around Kansas Speedway here and see what this number 11 ride is doing out there on the racetrack. Here we go. Jumping on board with Jordan Hand. We head down through the tri-oval and into corner number 1. You want to kind of roll off the throttle a little bit, try to coast it down into the center of the corner, try to maybe hug that yellow line, try to find that speed in that run down and out of corner number 2 and down the back straightaway, trying to reel in our race leader's back bumper as he sends it deep into corner number 3, looking to slide it down and through corner number 3 and out of 4, looking for another big run as late in this race. Kind of coming on board here and really starting to find some extra gear for that number 11 ride. We'll have to wait and see if he can find his way up to the front of the pack here in this one, trying to steal that second stage win away from Landon Burbage. As Landon continues to lead this race, takes us back down the back straightaway here to 0.2 seconds between himself and our second place driver, Jordan Hand, and then about, I'm going to say about 2.7 seconds back, we do see Aiden Lucas. So Aiden has been chipping away at that lead, has been coming a little bit closer and closer to our top 2 drivers. Unfortunately, he's running out of time in a quick hurry. There's only about 5 laps left to go here in stage number 2, and he's still got a big gap to try to make up, to try to make those extra passes and put himself maybe into a stage win here this evening. As Dylan Carrier back there in position number 4, Noah Blackwell right there in position number 5 with Josh Kreider, Brian Underwood, Melvin Brangrower, Grant Applegate up into 9th, and Benjamin Romano there in position number 10 here this evening. But it's all Landon Burbage. It's Burbage, nice and easy, down through corner 3. Once again, looks like he's going to head back down the back straightaway here. As I said corner 3, it's actually corner number 1 and 2 that he was just heading through. Now down the back straightaway into corner number 3 here in this one. Is down across the line. Lap 77 will get clicked off the board. We will have only 3 laps left to go here in stage number 2 here this evening. So stage 2 coming to a close, and that 2 car of Landon Burbage looking at trying to get that broom out and sweeping our 2 stage is here this evening in our first playoff race of round 2 of the Premium Stock Car Racing League playoffs. So things are getting down to the nitty-gritty. Not a whole lot of races left on the schedule, and every single point, every single win could be make or break on your chances of trying to pick up that championship. So you want to be virtually perfect if they're on the racetrack, as after tonight we only got 4 races left on the season. So for all these drivers, knowing that there's only a month of racing left, you want to make sure you kind of find yourself up into maybe victory lane before this season comes to a close. So you got to try to hit your marks and do everything perfectly out there on the racetrack. Is out in front. That 2 ride of Landon Burbage tonight has been his night, and he has been looking super strong all evening long, and obviously qualifying in that pole position, leading as many laps as he has so far here today. Down across the line, we will see our second stage. See that white flag? So only 1 lap left to go here in the second stage this afternoon. As Matthew Wood says, coaching Landon through, doing awesome. Yeah, so far doing very good job there for Landon Burbage. Burbage down the back straightaway has a couple car lengths still between himself and Jordan Hand. I know Hand would have loved to try to jump up there and steal the stage win away from Landon Burbage, but he won't get there as Landon Burbage will win stage number 2 here this evening. So Burbage sweeps the stages, wins stage 1, wins stage 2, in the 2 right out in front so far, earning the most points possible here on the day. So what a run and what a drive there for that number two machinists. There is that caution flag as the stage does officially come to a close. So Landon Burbage, Jordan Hand, 1 and 2. Aiden Lucas back in third with Dylan Carrier. Noah Blackwell, our top 5. Then we see Josh Kreider, Melvin Brangruer, the number 6 of Brian Underwood back in 8th. Applegate there in 9th. And we see Benjamin Romano rounding out our top 10. The only driver that as part of our playoffs that did not earn any stage points right there was Farrell Robbins. Unfortunately, Farrell back in position number 12. No bonus points going to the 76 Brian. He'll just have to try to find some extra speed, try to find that car up and potentially in the victory lane here tonight. They're just getting a solid finish where he can make himself feel a little bit more comfy when it comes to our next race of the season. As Phoenix going to be a very interesting one, being an elimination race, going to make things very, very wild in a quick hurry as we'll wait and see when pit road opens. And I'm sure we're going to see each and every one of these drivers head down pit side. They're all going to be coming down, getting that fuel, getting those tires, and looking to try to come out on top and potentially run away with this win here in our final stage of the day. Excuse me, the final stage of the day. As the Prince is towing, number 2 Machina, Landon Burbage, continues to lead the way. Landon looking to head down into his pit stall here as he does have that number 1 pit stall. So you'll be able to head down and hit his box all the way down here into corner number 1 virtually, as here comes and number 31 of Dylan Carrier right there as well with Jordan Hand, Aiden Lucas, Josh Kreider, our top 5, but everyone comes in, everyone's getting their cars jacked up, getting those tires and getting ready to roll back in onto the speedway, trying to hope that they can keep all these other drivers back there at bay. But a great pit stop right there for Jordan Hand. Oh, baby, we'll have to wait and see where they all get scored there, as it looked like Jordan Hand maybe won that race off of pit road. Aiden Lucas back in second, Landon Burbage there in third. And then we see Dylan Carrier, Noah Blackwell, Josh Kreider, Melvin Brangler, Brian Underwood, Applegate, and Benjamin Romano rounding out our top 10 here on the racetrack as we'll get ready to go back to green flag racing. We'll get ready to duke it out here in this one. As we go back to green flag racing, what we're going to do is we're going to be able to jump into our Peacemaker Gaming Crank It Up. So, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, we're going to get ready to crank it up. So, you guys know what to do, man. Crank up that volume, put on a show here, jump into the comment section, and let us know who you want to see up in victory lane. Who do you want to see get the win? Who do you want to see park themselves into victory lane, whether it's a playoff driver or one of our non-playoff drivers, or what it would mean to one of these playoff guys to pick up this win and know that they're automatically locked into the next round. And that's exactly what we've seen pretty much all evening long, is these playoff drivers up at the front of the field just duking it out. But now we do see Jordan Hand with that quick pit stop. The 11th Ryan comes out of pit lane with the race lead. Aiden Lucas now into second, and for Landon Burbage, he him down a little bit right there. Unfortunately for the 2 ride, slides all the way back into third for this restart. So we'll have to wait and see if he can make some moves and put himself back out in front here in this final stage. So you see Dylan Carrier right there to his outside in position number 4. Then we see Noah Blackwell and the number 5 of Josh Kreider there in 5th and 6th. Melvin Brangruer and I believe it's Brian Underwood there, or Grant Applegate, our top 10. Then we see Underwood and Benjamin Romano there in 10th. Robbins back in 11th with James Efa, Ryan Haller, Nathan Brookover, Jordan Kreider there in 15th with Jonathan Gaston there in 16th. And unfortunately, looks like something happened there to Danny White. Danny White has lost connection here to this race and is now down behind pit wall. So a tough break there for Danny. As here we go, getting ready to go back to green flag racing as we are virtually halfway in and halfway to go here in this race. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, we're going to get ready to crank it up here on Peacemaker Gaming. So crank up that volume and cheer on your favorite drivers as we crank it up for our final stage of racing action here on Peacemaker Gaming with the Premium Stock Car Racing League. caution flag has come out here in this one. That will bring a low score. Peacemaker gaining, rank it up. Give up your ball, the driver. Rank it up. 16. Let's take a look here at what happened and what brings out our third caution flag of the day. As there was a lot of tight racing going on out there, everyone running bumper to bumper out on the racetrack, and unfortunately sometimes things just do not play out perfectly. Let's take a look at it, as we did see some drivers heading down pit road. As it looked like we did see Grant Applegate trying to head down pit side. Potentially this is where we see the caution flag come out for the Red Bull machine. Well, he makes it down pit road pretty easily here. And he did leave pit road before the yellow, so I'm not 100% sure on where this caution flag is thrown, or who it was thrown for. I don't see any problems there with Jordan Kreider, or Nathan Brookover, or Haller. Oh, here we go, we see some smoke up here. Parked sideways. Doesn't look like anyone's parked sideways. This is an interesting one, Chad. I'm not too sure where this caution flag gets displayed, or who has problems out on the racetrack, as it's... Oh, there we go. We see some contact there. Looks like Dylan Carrier, maybe Noah Blackwell getting tied together. Let's take a look at it, as you see Landon Burbage that we are riding on board with. He's right behind him. As here we go. Contact there between Noah Blackwell and Dylan Carrier. Gets Dylan Carrier completely sideways, then up and into the outside fence. And for that beautiful Carrier Motorsports at number 31 ride, definitely not the way he wanted that one to go. As a big run for the 18 ride here. See if we can get a look at it from his perspective. For Noah Blackwell, he's getting this run, he's getting this drive, he's trying to jump up into position number 3, but he's trying to find his way around this 31 of Dylan Carrier. As they roll down in through corner 3 and out of 4, he gets this big run out of 4. He takes it all the way to the back bumper of the 31. The 31 throws a block, and the 18 goes even farther in, virtually down almost into the grass right there. My gosh, that was... that's very far below the line here. You can already see the 31 throwing the block on it. He's on the apron himself, and you see this 18. He's going to go over the grates right there for drainage. Car gets a little bit bent out of shape, but unfortunately still has that speed, still has that run, and all of a sudden it comes back up onto the track there. The 31 rides still down on the apron himself, gets tagged still, and gets turned sideways, and all of a sudden, that's where the caution flag gets thrown, and the 31 washes back up the track, and unfortunately, pretty solid contact there into the outside fence. Hopefully not too much damage there for him, as he'll look to try to get that thing repaired, and looking ready to kind of go back to battle out there on the speedways. Right now, it's Jordan Hand. Hand had the race lead before that caution flag. He has it after pit stops, as everyone came down pit side, got some work done to their race cars, made sure they are ready to rock and roll here for what could be the rest of this race. We may be able to make it here on fuel, as they were down pit road on lap 113. What would that make it out of 167, 157, 54 laps? Ooh, that's tight. I don't know if they'll be able to make it 54 laps, chat, with the tank of fuel. But somebody may try to make that move. Somebody may try to make that decisive call, make that extra pit stop or two, try to put themselves into a position to potentially make it there to the end. And for Grant Applegate, unfortunately, as he did come down pit road, that's where we see this caution flag happen. So as we look back here, Applegate's going to be coming down pit side. And this is going to be, this is going to suck for Applegate. So here he comes. He's going to end up, so he was already on the track. He was a lap down. That's going to be the problem right there. So he was a lap down. He was able to get the wave around and back on the lead lap for that 57 ride, and that's what's going to put him back there at the back of the pack. Scored in the 14th position here for this restart. He does have a bit of lap or so of green flag laps on this 57 ride, and he also has a little bit less fuel than everybody else. But we did see a couple of drivers like Nathan Brookover and Jordan Kreider come down pit road there for an additional pit stop there on lap 114. So they do have about a lap better fuel than everybody else. But we'll have to wait and see how it works out. As now we do see some contact back there behind him as the 72, Jonathan Gaston, gets turned up and into the outside fence. Heavy damage to that right front. Just not going to turn for this 72 Ryan. It's going to be tough to try to get this thing down pit road. You see this car, it's just not turning left at all as that right front completely shredded apart. Luckily enough, does get bounced off the wall and it will get down to pit lane here, and luckily enough does not bring out a caution flag, but that is definitely a tough break here for Jonathan Gass. Let's take a look back here as Applegate's in behind him. They all get a pretty solid restart. Everyone's off to the races here and everyone's rolling nicely out on the speedway. Then all of a sudden he's going to end up getting some contact here. I'm not sure if it was Applegate who got a piece of him here. Ends up turning him up into the outside wall there out of corner number 2. So let's take a look. Maybe there was some other contact or some other issues. There you go. That's where you see it happening right there. Okay, so the 88 ride, James Efa has to get onto the binders there as you see that white car get a little loose right there through the middle of corner 1 and 2. He gets a little sideways. He has to roll out of the throttle, trying to keep that thing pointing the right direction. 72 has to wash up the track to avoid him. You see the flames coming out of the 72 ride as he's letting off the gas. Unfortunately for the 57, he's still on the throttle trying to get this car rolling and ends up getting a big piece of that back bumper of that 72 and just bounces Gaston up and into the outside fence. Tough break right there for Jonathan as he had to come down pit side, make that green flag pit stop to get this thing repaired, and now multiple laps down out there on the racetrack. As Brian Underwood has raced his way now to the front of the field here, making some moves for Underwood. Now he takes that race lead away from the 11 of Jordan Hand. Aiden Lucas there in third, Dylan Carrier back in fourth as here comes Josh Kreider and Landon Burbage there in fifth and sixth. Noah Blackwell back in seventh with Melvin Brangroer, Benjamin Romano, and then we see James Eva there rounding out our top 10. Farrell Robbins in position number 11 and Applegate back there in position number 12. Now it doesn't look like too much damage to the front end of the 57 right even after that pretty solid contact into the back bumper there of that number 72 machine, but potentially some damage under the hood or potentially some suspension damage for that 57 run as he did give him a pretty big bump right there. We saw the damage to the back end of the 72, so you can imagine there's something underneath all the cosmetics of that 57 run that could potentially be going wrong for him as his car definitely struggling back there in position number 12. Been a tough day at the speedway here for Applegate. Is out in front, it's a bunch of his teammates here, as it is the team of the Aiden Lucas ride and Underwood and all these other drivers as the Redemption Motorsports team. One of them has been having a bit of a rough go, unfortunately, there for Applegate. Has had a few pretty solid issues out there, even for their teammate Aiden Lucas. We saw Aiden and Grant get signed up in that first caution flag of the day on lap number 3. But you do see Underwood, Jordan Hand, and Aiden Lucas, all three of them part of that Redemption Motorsports team running in the top 3 right now. And then we saw Applewood just running into his issues, and Applewood back there in that 12th position, but looking to try to rebound from it. Would love to jump up there and join his teammates at the front of the field as you see Melvin Brangroer now up into 4th. Good run here in this middle of the stage for this beautiful number 89 Ryan as he's looking to try to race his way up to the front. And that Thrustmaster number 89 Ryan, Josh Kreider right there behind him running our top 5 in that 5 ride. Dylan Carrier, Landon Burbage, Noah Blackwell there in 6th, 7th, and 8th as right now 7 of our top 8 drivers a part of the championship hunt here this evening. Unfortunately for Farrell Robbins, one of our playoff competitors back there at 11th, and Grant Applegate, another playoff contender back in position number 12. And for Applegate, really hasn't had very many stage points go into his back pocket here, has had a couple issues out there on the racetrack, and I'm just hoping to have a pretty solid run as he may be using up all of the points that he had accumulated and put in his back pocket, all those bonus points throughout our regular season and our first 3 races of these playoffs. Now potentially out the window after a tough race here tonight, so we'll have to wait and see how everything shapes up, as we did see that 2-rider Landon Burbage win stage 1 and win stage number 2. Now he's back in position number 8, but A lot of these drivers probably playing some different strategies out there. Potentially, some of them trying to run with a little bit of a different tire strat. Maybe trying to figure out a way to try to get that upper hand or try to have a better car late in this race. And maybe someone will make that call to try to save fuel and maybe try to make it to the end here. And coming back down pit road, but I don't think anyone's going to be able to make it. We saw virtually in that first green flag run of the day, even with the caution flag on lap number 3, we saw a lot of drivers kind of stay out and kind of hang out there for a little bit. Obviously save some fuel during that first caution flag. So with the caution flag in the beginning of that first run of the day, these drivers still really only made about 45, 46 laps on a tank of fuel, where these guys, after their last pit stop, probably have to try to stretch it to about 50 or better laps to make it to the end, and I don't think anyone's going to have that in them. That's a lot of fuel savings. That is a lot of time off the pace where I think you're going to be forced to have to probably make another green flag pit stop no matter what here today. I don't think you're going to be able to save that much fuel on the racetrack. And even if there are caution flags, you can't take the opportunity of potentially getting those fresh tires when everyone else may have them and you don't have them. You don't want to be a sitting duck out there on the racetrack as the tire fall off so enormous here at Kentucky. Already since our restart there about lap number, what was that, lap 115? We went back to green flag racing, now rolling on lap number 127, so about 12, 13 laps of green flag racing, and already we see the tire fall off being about a second or better for these drivers. So that's a lot slower lap time. That is a lot of track position, a lot of track time that you could be giving up out there. So you got to be very, very cautious of that. You got to be very smart about where you want to make those calls, make those moves, and try to put yourself into a position to potentially try to, race your way to the front. Making the wrong call or trying to save too much fuel could potentially take you out of this competition. As Underwood continues to lead the way, Brian at the front of the field. Then we see Jordan Hand there in position number 2, Ian Lucas in 3rd. Now then Brent Brewer, Josh Kreiner there running our top 5 with Noah Blackwell, Dylan Carrier, Landon Burbage there in 6th, 7th, and 8th. Then we see Benjamin Romano there in 9th, James Efa back in 10th. Then we see Farrell Robbins, Grant Applegate, Ryan Haller, Nathan Brookover, Jordan Kreiner there in 15th. Then we see Jonathan Gaston after that contact and everything else down the back straightaway here in the start of this run. With 72 right, all of a sudden had to make that green flag pit stop, win a couple laps down, now scored back in position number 16, and right now he is the only driver that is currently a lap down, so potentially could earn himself a couple lucky dunks if we see a few more caution flags on the rest of the day, and could get back into contention here for Mr. Gaston. And unfortunately for Danny White, we did see Danny run into some connection issues, and unfortunately he's taken his car off the racetrack and hasn't been back out onto the track in the last, about 40 laps or so. So some tough breaks there for Danny White. Some tough breaks for the Old Dogs Racing crew as Danny having issues. Jonathan now having some problems, and Farrell Robbins kind of just out there running his race. Has that guest inside Racing Graphics. Old Dogs Racing, number 76, right, one of our playoff competitors here this evening. Scored back in the 11th position. Didn't earn any stage points, and unfortunately was already below that cut line. Just really needing a good finish here, a solid finish, and potentially trying to get as many points as possible here to help him out, as he may be outside the top 6 going into our elimination race next weekend. So that's definitely not a spot you want to be. Is Underwood continuing to lead the way here. Brian doing a fantastic job to open up about a 0.57 second gap now between himself and Jordan Hand. So just a little over half a second between himself and our second place driver, Aiden Lucas, right there in position number 3. Noah Blackwell now up and into 4th. Here's that Interstate Batteries, NJPDesigns.com. Number 18, Brian jumps up into 4th. Frank Brewer slides back into 5th. Here comes Dylan Carrier and that 2 right of Landon Burbage. The 5 of Josh Kreiner rolling there in 8th as Benjamin Romano and James Efa rounding out our top 10 here on the Speedway. It's all Brian Underwood, as Underwood continues to show these drivers how to do it in this one. As Lonnie Grinder says, everybody looking good. They are all looking good. They're all looking fast. How are you, Lonnie? How you doing this afternoon, brother? Hopefully you're having yourself a wonderful day, and can't thank you enough for being a part of this amazing series. Huge shout out there to Lonnie coming in, showing the love here in this one, and huge shout out there to Lonnie Grinder, and always not only supporting the stream and supporting the drivers in the league, but also being our our commanding officer and giving us those opening invocations and giving us that command to start those engines and go racing here every single week. Huge shout out there to Lonnie. As Brian Underwood, he came here to play today, and he has this number 6 right out in front and looking to try to pick up a big checkered flag of what could be his first win of the season for that number 6 machine. As that's definitely kind of something that's been kind of growing in the back of his mind, waiting patiently, trying to figure out when he can maybe find his way into victory lane, earn that dub, and put himself into a good position here. As right now, the drivers that are still a part of our playoffs, there's only 2 of them that haven't found victory lane here on the season, and those 2 are Brian Underwood and that 18 rider Noah Blackwell. Right now, Brian rolls in position number 1, and Blackwell not too far back there in position number 4. So a couple of those drivers that are still a part of our playoffs, but just haven't been able to find victory lane here this evening. Now, how crazy would it be to see a champion win this championship without finding victory lane? That would be something special. That would be something very crazy to see. Someone all season long not being able to win a race, but being able to be consistent enough to win the championship would be absolutely wild. And I wouldn't put it past somebody like Brian Underwood, last season's champion, to be able to pull something like that off. But right behind him, you do see Jordan Head and Aiden Lucas, a couple of his teammates, and Aiden, one of the most winning drivers here on the season, as he's had 5 wins on the year for Aiden Lucas. And man, this Tony car is always fast, always dangerous. We did see his teammate there, as we've seen Aiden Lucas win 5, Applegate win 3, Jordan Hand win 2. So for Redemption Motorsports, they've won 5 races here in on our 14 races that we've ran this season. So out of 14 races, winning 10 of them, so they've been up in victory lane quite often, and unfortunately for Underwood, he's the only one of that, Redemption Motorsports stable that yet to find victory lane. His teammates keep beating him, but unfortunately, he does not want to see that here tonight. As here we go, he's going to be the first one to come down pit side. So green flag pit stops here for Brian Underwood. He knows that he can make it the rest of the way on this pit stop. Does not have to make another green flag pit stop, and he knows no one else can probably make it here on fuel. So coming down early, trying to see if he can get that tire advantage. As everyone else's tires are fading away, drivers start to fall off here a little bit, as they're already down about almost 2 seconds of tire fall off here since the green flag came back out on lap 115. So that's how much tire fall off has really meant. It doesn't even look like he got tires right there. Did he not go for tires? That's an interesting call. No, he definitely got tires. Okay, he did get tires. You see this car get jacked up, and you do put a full set onto this car, and he's able to roll right back out onto the racetrack. That's now going to bring James Efon down pit side in the 88 ride. So James heads down pit road, but for right now, tough break right there for the 88. A little too close to the pit wall right there. Has to get that car at a different angle for the crew to go to work on it. So a tough break for the crew, tough break for the 88. That mistake may hold him back there quite a bit. As here we go, we see the Gas and Zyre Racing Graphics, another one of our playoff competitors there, and Farrell Robbins heading down pit side. So short pits could be a game changer. Driver staying a little longer. Maybe that'll put them up and into victory lane. We'll have to wait and see how it plays out, as Aiden Lucas jumps up, takes that race lead away from Jordan Hand, and Aiden now leading this race with Hand right there in second. Noble Blackwell back there in third. Then we see Dylan Carrier in fourth, with Landon Burbage up inside the top 5. Josh Kreider back in 6th, right on the back bumper here of that 2 ride. And a little farther back, we do see Melvin Bregberg, Benjamin Romano, Grant Applegate, Ryan Haller, our top 10, Nathan Brookover, Jordan Grinder, our top 12 on the racetrack. And then we see Brian Underwood. Underwood right here. He is the first driver now, scored a lap down, but he's also one of the first drivers, or the first driver, to make what could be the final pit stop of the day. And now here we go. We see a couple more drivers head down pit side from the front of the pack. Here comes Noah Blackwell. Here comes Landon Burbage. Here comes Ryan Haller, also down pit side. So drivers starting to make these final pit stops here on the evening. Now, that's great news for Brian Underwood, as it's never a fun time to be a lap down out there on the racetrack, and the risk of a caution flag potentially keeping you trapped back here a lap down, or potentially not, taking away your chances of potentially winning this race here this evening. He needs things to cycle back around and hopefully see if he can try to put himself up into victory lane. So here comes Brent Brewer. Brent Brewer will head down pit road himself, as we do see Landon Burbage and Noah Blackwell both rolling back out onto the racetrack, and Blackwell will stay able to stay out in front of Landon right there as they both start rolling down through corner number 1 and 2 here on the speedway. But it's Aiden Lucas out in front, continuing to lead the way. We'll have to wait and see how long Aiden stays out here when he decides to head down pit road. He definitely wants to have some better tires later in this race, but every single lap that he stays out here is the more time he could potentially be giving up to the 6th rider, Brian Underwood. As Underwood catching up to our race leaders, could potentially race his way back onto the lead lap, but right now he's running some very fast lap times. Last time around he ran a 31.4 second lap, so that was virtually about a second and a half faster than our race leader, and a second and a half, 2 seconds a lap. That is a lot of time to be given up to this number 6 machine, but Aiden Lucas does head down pit road, and he will start to make that final pit stop. Same with that 5 ride of Josh Kreiner. Benjamin Romano also down pit side as well. So more and more drivers starting to head down pit road as Jordan Hand stays out for another lap. Same with that 31 at Dylan Carrier. Grant Applegate staying out there a little longer as well in this 57. Nathan Brook over there in 4th, still out there on the speedways. We'll have to wait and see when everything kind of shapes up, everything kind of cycles through, as Underwood could potentially roll back to the front of the field. As here we go, Jordan Hand, Dylan Carrier, both down pit side here as well. Grant Applegate going to stay out for at least another lap here on the racetrack. So a lot of these different strategy calls, a lot of different swings, trying to knock this out of the park and trying to put themselves up and in to victory lane here this evening with only 20 laps left to go. Things are going to be very, very interesting, very, very, complicated for a lot of these drivers to be able to try to put themselves into that winning situation here this evening. As out in front, it's still this 57 ride. Applegate continuing to lead the way here in this one. Applegate not giving up an inch out there, but not coming down pit road yet. Could be his downfall, could be his advantage, as you do see some of those fresh tires roll right on around him. There goes Noah Blackwell. Blackwell will race right on around him. You can see those fresh tires and how good they are, as he just made that pass out of corner number 4 and then down into corner number 1. He's already opened up a good 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 12 car length lead, as you see that 57 get a little squirrely as he goes up the racetrack there, letting some of these faster guys go by. Got a piece of the fence, able to keep it in the right direction, but lost a lot of time right there as Applegate still rolling out in front. The laps continue to click down. He continues to stay out here on the racetrack as it's been about 40 laps, so about 41 laps now since the last time he was down pit road. So a lot of laps under this 57's belt here this evening, and trying to make sure that he's got the best tires late in this race, and potentially may run his way up through the field late in this race, but he may not have enough time to maybe navigate as far forward as I think he will hope for, as we do see Nathan Brook over yet to come back down pit road as well there in that 8 ride, and Brian Underwood scored back in 3rd here. Now technically Underwood would be our race leader if we see the 57 and the 8 ride go down pit side. Jordan Kreiner yet to make a green flag pit stop as well, scored back in 4th. Blackwell is currently scored in that 5th position, but if things cycle through, Noah Blackwell could potentially be our second place driver out there on the racetrack, but he is about 6 seconds behind Brian Underwood, but did come down pit road about 4 laps after him, so he's got the better tires. He is trying to close that gap on that 6th ride, but they are quickly running out of time. Landon Burbage back in the 6th position. Aiden Lucas there as well. A lot of these drivers, they may have waited too long to make that final pit stop. They may not have enough time to try to navigate their way back to the front of the field here in this one. As you see Josh Kreiner right there, Kellen Carrier back in 9th, Melvin Brangruer there in 10th. As again, Applegate getting very loose at a corner number 2 here, getting a piece of the fence. Let's take another look at it as the 57 down low. The tires are very, very worn out. Unfortunately, these cars are becoming a handful, and he just pushes up the track, bounces it off the fence. Luckily enough, able to collect it and keep it rolling, but some pretty good damage there to the right-hand side of that 57, and he's still staying out, still not coming back down pit road. So Applegate, I don't know what the strategy call is here for this 57 ride, but he is stretching out this fuel as long as he possibly can, and with still a lot of laps left to go, man, he's looking very, very good, as we did see Jordan Hand. Oh, no. Issues for Jordan Hand here, ladies and gentlemen. Jordan having to come back down pit road here. What in the world, or did he have a long pit stop? This is Jordan coming down pit road. Entered the pits on lap 148. Did he end up having to make 2 pit stops here, ladies and gentlemen? I think he did. I think an additional pit stop there, an additional trip down pit road for Jordan Hand here, ladies and gentlemen. Unfortunately now for Jordan, see the number 31 pull off. Looks like potentially a penalty. I'm not sure if it was a speeding penalty or what it may have been, but he is down on pit road and still not rolling back out onto the racetrack. And unfortunately for the 11 ride, who had a car that could have potentially won this race, now scored back in 14th and is a lap down, as here comes Grant Applegate. Applegate now down pit side here himself, so Applegate heads down to pit road. Nathan Brookover, though, staying out. He was one of those drivers that came back down pit road on lap 114 to get some extra fuel into this 8 ride. Now, I'm not sure how much longer he can roll out there on the racetrack before having to come down pit road, before he has to make that call and make that green flag pit stop. But with 11 laps left to go, it's getting very, very close and potentially could pay off for the 8 ride to put himself up and into victory lane, as that Gaston's iRacing Graphics, Budweiser, Mountain Dew, Chevrolet continues to lead this race. There you go. You see Applegate roll back out onto the racetrack there. Applegate scored now back in the 13th position, still on the lead lap. Unfortunately for Jordan Hand and Farrell Robbins, they are both scored a lap down out there on the racetrack. And so right now, is Brookover going to stay out for at least another lap, and we see 10 laps left to go here in this one. Brian Underwood about 7 seconds back behind him here. That's a pretty good gap there between Brookover and Underwood, as Underwood trying to hunt him down, trying to track him down. Landon Burbage was up and into 3rd, but Aiden Lucas going to take that 3rd spot back away. So Aiden will jump up into position number 3. Landon Burbage will fall back to 4th. Noah Blackwell right there in that 5th position with Josh Kreiner, Dylan Carrier, Jordan Kreiner, Benjamin Romano, and Melvin Brenger running out our top 10 on the racetrack. And here you go, Nathan Brookover down pit road. So Brookover couldn't wait any longer. He heads down pit side, and that will hand the race lead back over to this number 6 ride of Brian Underwood. So Underwood back out in front, but he is losing time to Aiden Lucas in a rapid hurry here. Aiden does have about 7 lap better tires than that number 6 rider, Brian Underwood. And if I'm Underwood, I'm trying to run away as quickly as possible. It's nice and easy down through 3 and out of corner number 4. Back down across the line. The lead has shrunk to about 1.5 seconds, and across the line only 8 more laps left to go here. Oh man, this may be another big Aiden Lucas win here this evening, coming up into nowhere and stealing this one away from everybody else with some strategy and some very, very good racing. in this race. And that 20 ride quickly tracking down our race leader, Brian Underwood. Landon Burbage there in third, Noah Blackwell back in fourth, and Josh Kreiner up and into position number 5 on the racetrack. Dylan Carrier there in position number 6 with Benjamin Romano, Melvin Brangler, Jordan Kreiner now into 9th, and Ryan Haller there in position number 10. Now Jordan Kreiner, he was another one of those drivers that came down pit road during the caution flag on lap 114. Now his fuel is going to be very, very tight. He's been off the pace. He's been rolling out there trying to use a little bit of slower pace to maybe make it to the end of this race, but fuel's going to be very, very tight for him. We'll have to wait and see how that plays out. As here we go. Battle at the front of the field. Underwood has that race lead, but Aiden Lucas going to try to take it away. Down low there, door to door, back down across the line. Aiden Lucas looking to take this win away from his teammate Brian Underwood as Underwood slides back into second. Aiden Lucas out in front though, has the pressure tires and now looking to just try to run away with this one, as he's looking to try to put himself up and in the victory lane here this evening, as we do see Dylan Carrier has worked himself around Josh Kreiner. Kreiner slides back to 6th, Carrier now up and into 5th, and he's not done yet. He's looking to try to drive right on around that 18 of Noah Blackwell and the 2 of Landon Burbage, and they're all hunting down this 6th ride of Brian Underwood and Lucas. As Lucas out in front, continuing to lead the way. Does he have enough to take it all the way? Can he find himself back up and into victory lane here this evening at the beautiful Kentucky Speedway? Do we see a late race caution flag? Do we see it stay clean and green? So many question marks, so many possibilities, so many things that can go right, but so many things that can go wrong for these drivers. But right now, down across the line for Aiden Lucas, he will click off another lap, and we see only 4 more laps left to go here in this one. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, you came here for a show. Well, here we go as the closing laps here from Kentucky Speedway in our 4th playoff race of the season. Our second round officially underway here with our first race of the second round, as the 20 ride of Aiden Lucas leads the way here late in this race down across the line with only 3 laps left to go. Hoping to not see a yellow flag and hoping to try to keep all these drivers back there at bay, as his teammate Brian Underwood back there until about a second behind him. And unfortunately, all those older tires falling farther and farther away from that Kentucky machine. As here comes Dylan Carrier looking to now make the move around the 2 ride of Landon Burbage for that 3rd spot on the racetrack after Dylan's already worked himself around Noah Blackwell. Blackwell slides back to 5th. Burbage there and into 4th as the number 31 machine of Dylan Carrier moves up into position number 3, but here comes that 2 ride trying to battle back into that fight, and they continue to click these laps off. And for Aiden Lucas, he now only sees 2 laps left to go, so 2 more laps to try to pick up the checkered flag, his 6th potential win of the season here this year. Absolutely dominating early portion of the season. Kind of went through some blues there through the middle portion, but end of the playoffs are back to 20 ride. He's right back into playoff form and looking to try to continue to capture checkered flags. This would be a big one for him, as it would lock him right into our next round of the playoffs. Is down across the line, we will see that white flag fly. So one more time around here for Aiden Lucas is Aiden looking to pick up the checkered flag here this evening. Brian Underwood 2 seconds back, and now getting into the fence and open up the door here for the 31 ride of Dylan Carrier to try to take position number 2 away. Carrier down low looking for a big run. The 6 ride trying to battle back, but down through 3 and out of 4 is the Tracker Boats Bass Pro Shops number 20 of Aiden Lucas, who will pick up the checkered flag here at Kentucky Speedway. Aiden Lucas picks up his 6th win of the season here at the Premium Stock Car Racing League, and he will punch his ticket right in to our 3rd round of the playoffs, and he's 1 step closer to going to our championship finale here in a few weeks from now, as the Tracker Boats NJBDesigns.com number 20 ride finds victory lane. Dylan Carrier does come home in 2nd, and Brian Underwood going to round out our top 3 here this evening. Landon Burbage and Noah Blackwell are top 5 out there on the racetrack, but it's all the 20 ride as Aiden Lucas came into this race with the most points here in the bank. He had all those bonus points from all those wins and stage wins, and for the 20 ride, just knew he had to have a good run, a solid run, but he definitely wanted this one as he knows that he's completely locked in, does not have to worry about next week's race. He can come dead last and still make it into the next round and not having to worry about those points at all for the 20 ride, and he is absolutely pumped, and he's excited to be back up here in the victory lane. He's had a couple more, second place finishes. He's been so close to finding victory lane again over the last few weeks, but only getting another one. His 6th win, the most winningest driver here on the year as of right now, and as these races continue to click down and he keeps on winning, I'm not sure if anyone's going to catch him or knock that title off the 20 ride here this year as we'll get ready to pull Aiden and the rest of our top 3 up and into the broadcast booth for their post-race interviews. Man, what a run, what a race, what a show by all of these competitors here this evening. All right, here we go, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls. Our race winner, Aiden Lucas. Hey, Aiden, it's Aaron up here on the Peacemaker Broadcasting booth. Take a copy.
How you doing? Oh, yeah, how you doing, buddy?
Not too bad, Aiden, man. What a run, what a race. Take us back through this one, man, as this was a bit of a crazy one here. Obviously, we saw you early on going around. Obviously, contact between you and Noah Blackwell. Then your teammate, Grant Applegate, gets collected. You get some pretty serious damage there. You do take that quick repair, but then you're able to just battle back through it, earn some stage points along the way, and then late in this race, making that, pitch strategy call, staying out there a little bit longer, and then putting yourself into this position to just run through all those drivers and beat that 6th ride of Brian Underwood, your teammate, again here this evening to find yourself back up and into victory lane.
Yeah, absolutely. I always try and want to, run a little bit longer if I can so I can be on offense that next run, you know what I mean? But, yeah, race started out super chaotic. I didn't mean to get under him, but, it's just racing. He was coming down, I was going in, it all happens. And then he had an incident with Dylan. I almost got wiped out. I don't know if you caught that on the broadcast, but I just squeezed in, just gassed it up around the top, got by it just barely. So if that didn't happen, then it would have been bad because, like you said, I already used that quick repair.
Yeah, absolutely. The dangers of using that quick repair early. We saw Grant going down pit side a couple times, just trying to get the car repaired without having to use that quick repair, because it's always nice to have that in the back pocket later in these races, especially if you would have been collected in that, wreck there with that 2-ride, or not the 2-ride, but the 31 in the 18 out there on the front straightaway, as we did see it just squeeze through there as they got tangled together on the front stretch, and you were right there. If that would have went the opposite direction, if you would have got a piece of them, man, it could have been game over and night over for you, man. So just getting through there, counting your blessings, and then finding your way up into victory lane's gonna feel like a super win almost. I mean, you found victory lane. Now this is your 6th of the season, but being a playoff race, locking yourself into that 3rd round of the playoffs now, and putting yourself one step closer towards that championship. It's going to feel like a bit of an extra win almost here on the evening, being able to survive a couple of those spins and a couple of those wrecks and still being able to find victory lane.
Absolutely, and that's what every driver wants, is to be able to get locked in early and, have some peace of mind for a little bit. But, yeah, it's a tough competition with these guys. A lot of them are incredibly quick. Yeah, just not looking forward to that finale round.
Yeah, that final race definitely going to be a tough one, man. California, Auto Club Speedway, always a very, very tough racetrack. Always a fun one, though, and it's going to be an exciting race right down to that final checkered flag. But here in this one, you're able to beat everyone back to the checkered flag here this evening. Aiden, who would you like to thank for another great run and solid drive out there on the racetrack?
First off, I'd like to thank you for broadcasting.